Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're taking a look at the 2017 Fiat 124 Spider Abarth. Now this is the first convertible sports car from Fiat since the Barchetta, and yeah, is a certain improvement over that car, and that is largely thanks to the fact that it's based on the 4th generation MX-5 from Mazda. So yeah, it shares the platform, the mechanicals, the interior and the soft top mechanics. But it does have some of its own stuff from Fiat. It's got its own Fiat engine. It's got its own shocks from Fiat. The styling is obviously different to the MX-5, and it is slightly longer with more boot space. So yeah, it's probably a little bit more practical than the MX-5, even though that boot is still pretty woeful. But yeah, because obviously Fiat are basing this car on the MX-5, it obviously means you've got Japanese reliability and design, coupled with Italian flair and styling and that kind of stuff. So yeah, quite frankly I think it looks pretty good actually. One of the few people probably out there that actually do that, the looks of it, and yeah, the interior is pretty good as well, especially since it is, like I said, based on the MX-5, and there's never any real problems with an MX-5's interior, that's for sure. And yeah, like I said, Fiat's own engine is in this car, unlike the 2-litre inline-4 non-turbocharged engine in the MX-5. We have a 1.4 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, producing 165 horsepower and 184 pounds-feet of torque. So that's fairly decent when you consider the car only weighs 2,477 pounds, so an incredibly lightweight car with quite a lot of power. So yeah, and coupled with that, with the fact it's rear-wheel drive, then you've got yourself on paper a pretty nippy sports car here. So, to see what it can actually drive like, let's take it out there and see what it can do. Alright, we're on Maple Valley Raceway for one lap, and yeah, let's see what this Fiat can do. So yeah, the Italians are really on their game right now, with the likes of Alfa Romeo with the 4C and the Giulia Quadrifoglio. They're really on the mark with their sports cars at the moment, and this on paper seems to be right in line with that, quite frankly. And yeah, certainly no bad thing being based on an MX-5, because the MX-5 is a great car. Has been ever since the 1st generation, and the 4th generation is probably the best well-rounded MX-5 of the lot. So yeah, Fiat have got a pretty solid base to work from. They've done pretty good wonders with the styling, I find. I really do like it, especially the rear end. It's got 4 nice exhausts going for it, and yeah, they've obviously touched up a little in the interior with some red and black leather, but there is some problems with it. Personally, I'm not a fan of the engine. Yes, obviously it's a smaller engine than the normal MX-5's engine, even smaller than the base engine, I think. So obviously they're having to make up for that with a turbocharger, and now that normally is okay on big engines, because bigger the engine, the less reliant they are going to be on the turbo, but smaller engine is going to be more reliant on the turbo, and unfortunately that means that the sound of the engine is kind of sapped away. Now it doesn't sound awful, well, certainly worse sounding turbocharged engines out there, but compared to the MX-5's, which is a 2-litre naturally aspirated engine, it doesn't sound as nice, certainly doesn't sound as sporty, and that is a great shame from a car that is like this. But it does obviously make up for that, because you know it's got extra horsepower over the MX-5 with this turbocharger, so acceleration wise is pretty decent. 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds, 0 to 118.8 seconds, going on to a top speed of 144 mile an hour, which is fairly good, quite frankly, and the car handles really well as well, because obviously it doesn't weigh anything, and yeah, drives good well when you're not screwing up like me. As you can see, even when I messed up like that, it still hanged on in there. So yeah, it's a nice car to drive, and it's certainly a good looking car, and there's no doubt in my mind that you'd get plenty of enjoyment out of it driving it every day, but the sound of it doesn't evoke the kind of Italian sports car, you know, imagery that you'd get from such a car. So it's a little bit of a disappointment on that front, but it's still a nice car, and I really am glad that they've put it in the game, because quite frankly we don't have enough Fiat sports cars on this game. Certainly could do with some more from previous Forzas, that's for sure, but yeah, I am glad it's on the game, and yeah, obviously mixes up the variety, and it means that the MX-5 has a car to go up against. So yeah, that's good on that front. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.